What up and welcome. Golden Era. It is mid-January. The Warriors are on the road to face off against the Orlando Magic, the defending champions. Trey Turner, as he gets things rolling with a three-pointer. Jalen Green and an aging Jason Tatum for a Magic team that's really trying to find their way back into contention range. This is a team that offensively is one of the best teams in the NBA with aforementioned Trey Hunter and Jalen Green. But defensively, this team has really struggled. And as we approach the trade deadline, would not at all be surprised to see this team try to come up with some type of way to add some defensive playmakers. For Golden State, though, they're in the midst of a really nice run here as we're midway through the season. You've got Jonathan Kuminga playing at a high level. You got Javon Rule playing at a high level, and of course Darius Dixon. But the big question mark for this Orlando team as we close out and approach the midway point is what do they do at the trade deadline? Because Trey Hunter is still an all-NBA talent. Sure, he's got some defensive flaws, and he's going up against the man that he's often compared with, and that's Javon Rule in terms of the best point guards in the NBA, as we get another Trey Hunter buried three. But what can they do? Because you've got Trey Hunter as a good defender, as an adequate defender, but not really great. You've got Jalen Green as an adequate defender, but not really great. Jason Tatum used to be his rookie Dele Bagley gets going for the Warriors there to take a three-point lead. But this is a team, they decided not to keep Corey Flynn last season in free agency. He went to Las Vegas. I still think that was the right call, as it's a kick out here for Jalen Green and another triple. But they just don't have defensive pieces in the same way that they did before, as on cue with Jalen Green steal and a Jalen Green dunk at the other end ends the first quarter with a 24-piece on both sides. Orlando needs to figure something out. You added Antonio Bennett. You let a lot of the defensive pieces that you had a season ago walk. You weren't elite if you were Orlando last season, but you were certainly better as hand down, man down. That's a triple from Trey Hunter. Oh my God, off the backboard to get Elton Dawkins rolling. But there's a lot of open shots, and so despite all the offensive fireworks that Orlando's got, you're still down 5 here because you don't have guys that can go and you can put on a Javon Rule, on a Deontay Dixon especially. Jason Tatum used to. You're paying him $20 million. He's got a team option for next season. Do you pick that up if you're Hunter and the Magic, or excuse me, Tatum and the Magic? Who knows? That's where Orlando sits. Where does Golden State sit? Well, the Western Conference is deep. We'll get into that at the end of this one. But they are going, full steam ahead. They make the deal to add Lynn Gardner. He's a nice piece for them as Deontay Dixon gets free and answers with a triple at the other end here in the second half. This is a Golden State team that offensively has a lot of pieces, and as you see right there, defensively has a lot of versatility. Now, the flaw of Golden State is I don't know that they have a bona fide on-ball stopper the way that some others do. A great find there by Jalen Green doing cutting Elton Dawkins. Deontay Dixon is the closest thing to that, but even he is not a lockdown blocker, as Branko Todorovic gets a block there on Trey Hunter. That, I think, is the flaw for the Warriors. The non-flaw is their offensive weapons. There you got Jalen House hitting the mid-range jumper. You've got, as Deontay Dixon leaves his man open, and that ends up costing him, you've got their three stars, Javon Rule, Deontay Dixon, and Jonathan Kuminga. And then you've got Caden Dickerson, a nice 3-and-D wing, but even he's not a lockdown defensive wing. They feel pretty confident as Lynn Gardner gets rolling here, deep jumper late in the third quarter, and then Jaheim Briggs filling in as the Warriors lost Jonathan Kuminga to a hip injury in this one. Lynn Gardner burying another three. Late third quarter, that's a huge one to push this thing up near double digits to start the fourth quarter. And this is where Golden State and their offensive weapons really come into play. Jalen House with a heave-it-up three pushes it to 10. And you start saying, okay, Orlando, they got to come in. What can they do? Big block there by Russell Kingston. And then a little coast-to-coast action as Branko Todorovic finds him. Nobody picks up Russell Kingston. Defensive breakdowns by the Magic. Offensively, they can hang with anybody, but they just don't have the defensive pieces that prevents open looks like that from Javon Rule. Bury it, and suddenly this is a 17-point game in the fourth quarter, less than halfway to go. There's no margin for error right now for the Orlando Magic on the defensive end.
Oh my God.
And when you have no margin for error, that really limits your ceiling, limits the upside of what you can do. And there is your final score, 124-110. Golden State wins it. It's a huge night from Javon Roll, 44, 9, and 8. In the victory, the Warriors shoot 50% from deep in the win. 32 from Trey Hunter, 27 from Jalen Green, as the Magic can't get the W at home. Defending champions fall to one of the proverbial favorites. All right, that's in our back mirror. Let's move on to a little bit of a league update. We're fast forwarding just a couple days to January 25th, and let's dive in. Golden State just got done beating the Detroit Pistons 116-94. Not an overly surprising win in this one. Good night from Javon Roll and Deontay Dixon. They are currently without Jonathan Kuminga, who suffered a hip injury in that game against the Orlando Magic. So Warriors are trying to pick up the pieces just a touch here in the aftermath of this one. But let's go around the league. Where are we at? What's going on? Let's start with our league standings. Golden State's on top of the Western Conference, just above Sacramento and Minnesota. The Lakers have really struggled as of late. They are still without one Cameron Mercer. He's not playing well, or he's out with an injury. He's been playing well. This is a Lakers team that, if they put things together, I think they're a real dangerous squad. They need to figure out what this team has for three-point shooters. I don't know if in the long run this team is a championship contender if Amir Roberson, D'Angelo Ion, and Cameron Mercer are playing together. Those three non-shooters. So Kareem Robinson, he can light it up from deep, 41%. Roman Harmon should do better. He's at 32%. Jay Kingston is a 40% three-point shooter. Off the bench, Ian Bledsoe, typically a good three-point shooter. He's had a bit of a down season. And then you've got Parker Ellis, who's a good shooter off the bench. I don't know if you can win a championship with Amir Roberson at the 5 next to Ion and Mercer. And I think the jury's out if you can play Mercer and Ion. Ion, 23%. You saw 21% from Mercer. This is a team that probably needs to figure out what are they doing at the 5. And question mark if that's the future. But I don't think you can have all three of those dudes on the floor. And I would argue Ian Bledsoe on the floor. He's bigger, 6'8". Jay Kingston, 6'7". They can play the 2, the 3. Roman Harmon at 6'6". They got size. They need shooting. Right now, they don't have shooting. All right, rest of the Western Conference, it's deep. The Utah Jazz, who are trying to win with this elite backcourt of Jalen Justice and Darius Dixon, I think this is a group that probably needs to figure out what's going on at the 3 and the 4 spot right now. Spiro Yanu, really good defender, can't shoot the ball. Offensive weakness. Julius Walker, good defender, good rebounder, but they're missing something. They also got sick New Jerseys. Patrick Morris could play the 3 or the 4, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see this team try to make a move. Yeah, you could try to. Lou Langford's a decent shooter, but he hasn't been playing well. Franklin Reed off the bench is a decent scorer, but hasn't been shooting well. So they've got to find something in there to support these two, and I think Patrick Morris is your 3rd, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's Julius Walker in some type of deal. But the West is deep, man. Up and down the Western Conference, it's really good. The Clippers just lost Elijah Foxis, their star second wing, next to rookie Javon Boston Jr. They're kind of getting flirty. The Venom have been playing really well. That's the spot right there, the number 10 spot, that is really going to be worth watching and keeping an eye on. It's going to be fodder for one of these teams, right? The interesting part is, can Utah, Phoenix, or San Antonio get out of the play-in? Those are two teams in Utah and Phoenix who I think were expected to be championship contenders. San Antonio's been really good. 27-19, if you go to the Eastern Conference, that's all the way up as a 5 seed in the East. In the West, you're fighting to not be in the play-in. Let's go to the East. It's Chicago and it's Boston, and then the Pacers. They started off really bad. Early on in this season, they were not good. They've won 11 straight games. CJ McCoy has been fantastic. They finally got healthy. They made the surprising moves over the summer to get below the luxury tax. Hasn't hurt them so far. They've been playing really good as of late, as have the Brooklyn Nets. Both the Nets and the Pacers started off the season very slow, but they figured it out. The first season of Savion White in town, they've put together a really nice group there in Brooklyn. But the East just isn't as good. You've got the defending champs just a couple of games above 500. The Milwaukee Bucks, They are without Dwayne Qualls, their star point guard. He's out right now with a leg injury. Luka Doncic at age 35 has been playing awesome. Jules Petrus is finally rebounding. He entered the league not really able to rebound that well. So it's a lot of question marks in the Western Conference, in the Eastern Conference. The Knicks, they made the big offseason. Louis Morgan, Ezekiel Morrow. They're not winning basketball games. And part of that is because New York, they made that with cap space. They didn't bolster this roster up and down, right? They were able to make the move for Corey Wilson. I thought that was a good one. But Anton Forte, if he's your sixth man, Anton Forte is a good point guard. As your starting point guard, that's where New York has a lot of problems. And I think that's the issue with this roster right now, is they're just not built to win this season. And with a 28-year-old Louis Morgan, a 29-year-old Ezekiel Morrow, I think there's room for this team to actually contend later on. So this feels kind of like a gap season, even if it hasn't been that great. Miami, they're without Cameron Sullivan for the entire season with a torn Achilles. John Morant has been pretty good. Damian Pack, I think they got to give this kid more of a runway. He's been good in the opportunities he's had. This was a team, though, Miami, that just needs more offense, and they haven't gotten it. Desmond Cooper, one of those pieces. They've been disappointing, and the Washington Wizards have been extremely disappointing. The Toronto Raptors have been awful in the first season post-Jalen Justice. They've already traded away up to Charlotte, who, you'll remember, just got Malik Hightower. They traded away Shane Ruffin to go to the Hornets, and Hornets have been playing better since that deal. The Raptors, wouldn't be surprised if you see Jacob Kuxis gone. Where that is, I'm not quite sure. And then Terrence Clark could be a name to watch on the move, but his deal, he's got a $50 million option next season. It's a player option, it's a player option. He's picking that thing up. He's been good, but finding a team, and he hasn't shot the ball that well, but he's been otherwise decent. Finding a team that can absorb that contract is going to be the big problem for Terrence Clark and the Raptors. If they can do it, Terrence Clark could be a difference maker elsewhere. They haven't, and that's why they're sitting at the bottom. A lot of teams at the bottom. Denver is the worst of them with 7 wins, but that's your standing up state, and let's head over to league leaders and really where your MVP race is. Deontay Dixon and Abiz Ojale are the two guys that are probably battling it out for Player of the Year, or for MVP rather. They've both been awesome. Abiz Ojale has the Wolves playing like a real team. Deontay Dixon has taken over the mantle as the number 1 guy. Javon Roll's been really good next to him, but that's the reason that people are believing in this Golden State Warriors team, who's trying to piece together one more championship here in potentially the final couple seasons of it. Who knows? I mean, Jonathan Kuminga's out right now with a hip injury. He's 32. It's not like this team has a bunch of years left, so they've got to find a way to win. That's your MVP race. I think I'd probably go with Abiz Ojale if I had an MVP vote right now. He's doing a little bit more. I mean, counting numbers, it's fine. He's shooting the ball pretty good from deep on low volume, 37%. But he's just been torching, man. He's been fantastic, and he's the reason that this Minnesota Timberwolves team is competitive and is in a top 4 spot in the Western Conference, and contending with the big dogs, Golden State, chasing down the Los Angeles Lakers as they've been up there, and the Sacramento Kings. Just a note on the Kings: this is a team whose payroll is huge. I mean, look at that. Projected profit minus $500 million, because over on the right there, their luxury tax bill $393 million, because their player payroll is $252. This team is paying dudes a lot of money. I mean, Tyrese Alston, there we go. He's owed $42. He's on an extension. That can't be right. He's owed $42 right now. You've got Parker Pollard, who's got 34. You've got Jason Sanders, who's making 49. You've got R.J. Wallace making 40, and then Kai Udry. That's not small money. It's this one, Dusan Svekovic. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to move him. But that's kind of deep diving. We're deep diving. I just don't think this team, as it's currently built, is going to be able to stay together. I think they're going to have to make a move that sort of breaks them apart, saves them a little bit of coin, but they're contending for a Western Conference crown yet again in the Jason Sanders, Tyrese Alston era. That's your update, January 25. A lot of things going on. We'll be back with another little highlights from a live stream, and then another update next time around here on The Golden Era.